right here's a little bit of that hand splitting footage from the big oak that I've been doing, the roadside logging. This stuff splits great too. It's some sort of red oak. I'm not sure exactly what kind, but it's some great splitting wood. I really enjoy splitting it. I think it's raining there on me a little bit. Near the end there it started raining, and I was happy for that. Because this is right after I get the wood down here that I'm splitting it here. I'm splitting pretty tired, and you can probably tell by looking at me. And the heat was one thing that just made it that much more draining. I think it was around 95, 96 degrees that day. But these rounds of wood, I would guess that these rounds had around 30 to 50 pieces of wood in them, depending on how small you split the wood, you know. There's quite a few pieces you'll see me split. That could be split down a little more. As you see, I did that one there. And sometimes I usually try to get them split down like that, but every now and then I'll leave them a little bigger too. But I would guess these had around 30 to 50 pieces in them, honestly, which is great, you know. So I didn't end up splitting all of these. As you can see, that wood that's in the bed there, that's smaller stuff that I've had here at home for a while. And I think it's a mix of sycamore, maple, and oak. And it just shorter stuff, and lots of people don't like it. But the guy that I'm delivered that particular load to there, he wanted shorter stuff. Actually, his wood stove's pretty small. He really needs around 14 inches. So some of these rounds here, that's why I didn't split some of them, because they were a little bit longer than that. And some of them are around 14. So that's what I was aiming for when I was bucking, was around 14. But I think I had some already kind of cut up a little bit before I knew that. But as I said, this stuff splits great. Tonight, maybe later tonight, it's already night right now when I'm editing this, but maybe later tonight I'll try to half this double bit. I've got the handle out in my shed and the head. I've had the head for quite a while now. I got it from my cousin. I've been wanting to put it together, and it would be a great axe for this wood. You know, all woods are different. There's lots of different types of oaks. Like, you've seen me split white oak before. Now, there's numerous types of white oak. I'm not sure how many we've got here in Kentucky. I'll try to find that, look it up, and even list them on the screen here, and the red oaks that we've got here in Kentucky alone. So there's many, because you've seen me split white oak on here before, and it's very stringy stuff, some of it that I've split. And I've noticed too, I believe from what I can tell, and you hear different opinions on this, but from what I can tell myself, it seems like when wood is green, it's stringier. It seems like the strands aren't as strong once the wood dries out. Now, the wood gets harder, but it seems like the strands, the fibers inside, are weaker once on many types of wood. Now, that may not be every wood, but most woods that I've split do split easier once they season, from what I can tell. Yeah, it's harder on the outside and stuff, but the fibers themselves and stuff seem to break apart easier, and it doesn't have all that water in the wood. Now, that may not be true with all woods. I'm sure it's probably not, but there's so many different types of wood species in the world. And that's something you got to look for if you're looking for a good splitting axe or something like that. It's kind of easy to tell, really, usually, by looking at the head if it's going to be a good splitting axe or not. I've got one in my shed, though, and it's got a head similar to the Fisker's, but a little different, and it sticks a lot worse. But now if I were looking at it, I would think, well, yeah, that would probably work pretty good. I think the bit on it's longer too, which to me isn't necessary. It's more prone for getting stuck when it's longer like that. I think Husqvarna maybe makes one like that too, that the head, which they make one with the head pretty much identical to that Fisker's too. The handle just so much shorter. And I don't like short handles. I like a good 36-inch handle because I split on the ground, and I always intend to. For production, you can't really beat it. I mean, if you're hand splitting, I've had lots of guys tell me, you know, quit chasing the wood, get a tire, use a bungee, all this stuff. For one thing, I split. Well, those rounds wouldn't even fit in a tire if you look at them. For one, they would not fit in a tire. I would not want to lift them up and put them in a tire, even if they would fit in a tire. Rolling them was hard enough. And then putting a bungee around each and every one of them, and then undoing it. I try to, in any way that I can, to save time and energy. That's why you see that I don't pick the wood up when I split it. I walk over it or around it. I don't pick it up because it's so much more work. If you're going to, I'm loading it into my truck, you know. So I don't want to split this and then move it to the side. And then after I move it all to the side, then move it into my truck. No, I'm doing it all by hand. I'm doing it, you know, production by hand. So for that means I want to save my energy and my time, you know. And believe me, I'm not saying it in a brag way. I can get a lot done by hand. especially if I get some of this weight off of me. I'm aiming for 230 pounds to get down to that. Right now I'm around 265, which is about what I was when I first started my YouTube channel. I've been doing a low carb diet for a while again now, and I'm at 265. Was at 280 there for a while, so 230 is what I want to get to. I don't want to get no smaller than that, really. I want to have some girth on me so that I can handle this wood and stuff too. You can tell a difference when you've got a little extra muscle moving stuff around, but when you've got too much weight and it's not good weight, you can feel that too. You can feel it just pretty much slow your movements down and stuff. But anyway, so I'm planning to get back down in weight, and I'm wanting to do a video in the future of trying to show you. I'm going to aim for 5 full cords in a day, which is 15 truck beds of wood right around it, 6.5 truck beds. 6.5 long truck beds of wood, like that truck bed right there, mine. It's around 6.5 foot. That Ford truck bed, F-150 half-ton truck. You fill that up with wood loose thrown in, you're going to get a half cord of wood, right around a half cord, maybe a little more even if you pile it up just a little. But loosely thrown in that 6.5 foot bed, that's what you get is around a face cord of wood. And lots of people know that. Some people may not. That's why when I used to have my Dodge Ram, I had the rails on the side, but I also made me a little rack on the back that had some, like this kind of strong wiring on it, and it latched with a gate latch, and I was able to fit 2 cords in there, or 2 face cords, sorry. 2 face cords in there like that, which is 2 stacks cut, 4 feet tall and 8 feet long, and cut to 16 inches. That 16 inches is what you go by when you're doing a cord like that. If you got wood that's 18 inches or 20 inches, then you're already kind of throwing the cord off. You can do that though, but if you give somebody a stack that's 4 feet tall by 8 feet long and it's cut to 20 inches rather than 16 inches, you're giving them a lot more wood. You are. Like if you fill your truck bed up, and you've got pieces that are cut to 20 inches rather than 16, you're going to fill your truck bed up a lot quicker than you will with that 16-inch wood. I delivered to a guy one time, and he was trying to tell me that maybe he thought I was cheating him or something because the wood was cut to 20 inches, if I'm not mistaken, but he was wanting the stacks to be the same length as it would be if you were going by 16. And that's why I tried to explain to him. I said, look, it's a truck bed, it's a truck bed, or maybe a double truck bed at that time, which would have been a double face cord if it's cut to 16 inches. I said, but this wood, you wanted it longer, so it's not going to equal out to the same. You're going to have a longer stack, a wider stack, because the wood's longer, but it's not going to be as long, long ways. That 8 foot may not be there. It may be more like 6, 7 foot, by the time, because you're using the same amount of material to fill that bed up. It just cut to a different length. And it can be confusing to some people. I've delivered to people before that thought a face cord was a cord, and guys were delivering, I think, to some people that I've delivered to, and calling a face cord a cord, which is a truck bed. It takes 3 truck beds to make a full cord. So 3 face cords. I delivered 3 cords to a man one time in a day, hand splitting them. The guy that I bought my Dodge Ram from, I had a 5x10 utility trailer, pulling it with the Saturn View, and I had rails on it. And I was able to fit a full cord of wood in there when I did it. But now when I delivered these three to him, they may not have been right at exactly 3 full cords, because they were not stacked. It was just thrown in there loosely. I would say it's more like 2.5 face cords probably. So I delivered 2.5 face cords times 3, whatever that comes out to. But I'm wanting to do a video in the future. I'll have to have the wood piled up though before I can do this. Of seeing if I can get 5 full cords, because I do believe that I can. Which for me, that would be 3 times 5. That's $1,500, and I believe I could do that in a day. But that wouldn't be counting the bucking and all that stuff, That would just be splitting. I'm planning to do a lot of firewood this winter. I've been doing it a lot lately. Like I said, tomorrow I'm going out. I'm planning to finish the rest of this log. So there's about an 8-foot section up there that's beyond the fence, kind of laying on the fence and beyond it. And it's the biggest wood, because it's the bottom of the trunk itself, which gets wider. And so it'll be the biggest wood around, a little bigger than this stuff around. And there'll be about, I'm not sure how many pieces I'll get out of it. It's about 8 foot long. And then I've got quite a bit of limb wood and stuff there too. And then there's some of these rounds right here that I'm splitting on that are still there, because I didn't get all of those. Some of them, as I said, were a little bit too long for this man, or for the man that I delivered to. I delivered 2 loads out of this oak already to a man. And he was very happy with it. As I said, this load here, though, was mixed with some of the stuff I already had at home. So really out of this, I just got about a half a truck bed out this day and filled it up a little bit later and took it on to him and delivered it. But I think somebody said it here a while back that they thought that tree had a cord in it, a full cord. Now, I believe it has at least that based on what I've delivered and what I've got left. I believe it has at least a face cord, possibly a face cord and a little more, like maybe four, or a full cord and a little more. Not a face cord, I'm sorry. I believe the tree has a full cord in it and maybe a little more, so 4 face cords, which is a full cord and then a face cord. If you know wood and you know the measurements, you know what I'm talking about. Some people, I know it's very confusing. It was to me when I first started out too, and I kind of just looked it up on Google and studied it really good. Made sure I learned what it was exactly, because I wanted to be delivering accurate to people, and know what I was delivering and charge them. But there's lots of people that don't understand that. But the measurements that they use going by a face cord usually is 16 inches, and I believe a big reason why is because that's what lots of people. That's usually what I cut it to, anyways. Is 16. It's a good length to split. The wood's easy to handle. And then lots of wood stoves. The main reason really is because lots of wood stoves fit that. They fit a 16-inch piece of wood in them. And then their wood sheds too. Sometimes people will build a wood shed specifically for a cord of wood, and so they'll go by that. They'll want 3 rows in it, cut to 16 inches. Now they may build it specifically for a full cord, and you deliver the wood, and your wood's cut to 20 inches, and you get, 2.5 rows, and they're saying, wait, where's the other row? I'm supposed to get 3 full rows. And then you're going to know to yourself, if you've done this for a little bit, oh, well, okay, that's the reason why. It's because I cut it to 20 inches instead of 16. So the 16 is what creates your 4 feet wide. But me and a guy here recently, the guy that I delivered this load to, actually, he was talking about building him a firewood shed. He had these little racks that you delivered it on, and we had to get it in a wheelbarrow. He had 2 wheelbarrows, and he would get one and I would get one, and we would wheel it around his place, down a path, and then down a little ramp, and then to the racks. Now, normally I could charge more for that, really, if I wanted to. I didn't say anything. There's only ever been one time that I got somewhere, and it was so unreasonable, the delivery that they were trying to get me to do. It was so unreasonable, and it was a big load, double face cord load in my Dodge, that I told the woman, I said, look, I can't, I'm not doing that. She was wanting me to go down steps with a wheelbarrow. Quite a bit of steps, then across the walkway, and then up to a back patio, and she had another entry on the other side of her home, and I told her, I said, look, I can get my truck's 4-wheel drive, I can get my truck up to that gate, and I'm willing to do that. But even that was a lot of work, it was wheelbarrowing it either way. Really, in my opinion, if you got to do that, I would recommend probably charging more. I know my cousin, he would, it's up to you, but my cousin would, he would just throw it out, he said, and some guys dump it. I've always stacked it, unless they tell me not to. From the beginning, I've always done that. Now, I do believe that people really appreciate that a lot, and because some of the people, actually lots of the people that I deliver to are elderly, and I do not want to throw that on the ground and have them pick it up. I mean, some of them are very elderly, and some of them have disabilities and stuff like that, and problems, physically, and so I don't mind to do that. That's the easy part, in firewood. All this here that I'm doing here, the splitting and getting this wood out of the woods or wherever you're getting it from, and sometimes that's easier than other times, but that's where all the work comes in, really. Of course, it's not easy either sometimes, unloading and stacking it, but that's what I've always done. But now whenever I load it, I like to just throw the wood in there. I never stack the wood in there. I have done that before, but it takes so much more time and effort. And like I said, I'm doing it all by hand, so I try to save as much time and energy as I can. So I throw it in there, and that's why I built the rails on there, because a regular truck bed, now I'm charging $100 for a regular truck bed, which is a face cord of wood. I'm charging $100 for that. Plus, if it's outside of Montgomery County, I'll charge, gas for it. Like the guy that got this load here, it was $120 for a regular truckload. Now, if it would have been a big truckload, it would have been $220 to him. So that's why I charge for a double face cord load is $200. And then plus gas outside of Montgomery County where I live. And I've been doing that for a while now. When I first started out in firewood, my first year, I believe I may have sold it for a while at $60, $65 a truckload. Then I went up to 70, and for, I think, my first couple of years, I left it at 70. And then prices changed a lot, so I changed my prices to reflect that. And I kind of seen other people's prices too. And then not only that, lots of people I was delivering to were, one guy just straight up told me, he said, yeah, you're the cheapest guy I've found. He said, you got the cheapest prices, by far out of anyone I've found. And so when he said that, I kind of thought to myself, well, maybe I should up my price a little bit. And because it is hard work, and this is good wood that they're getting, when you're giving them good wood. Mainly what I've always sowed, if you've seen me, it's been oak. Hickory is really good wood, and I've read into hickory a little bit, and it's supposed to be in every way, in every aspect, hickory is supposed to be better than oak as firewood. In burning time and heat, some people say even the smell, which of course you've got different hickories and different oaks. Now me personally, I don't really care for the smell of some of the hickory I've smelled. I don't really like it a whole lot. I think the best smelling wood I've ever smelled, by far to me, is cherry. Cherry smells wonderful. Some people don't like the smell of locust either. I delivered a lot of that my first year from the cattle farm. And speaking of the cattle farm, I was going through my contacts earlier, and that man, Russell B., his name popped up in my contacts. He's the man that owns that cattle farm. And that's where I chopped on that big sycamore at. Now, he's got that sycamore down now. It looks like it's just laying there. So I may actually harvest it for wood. But anyways, he used to have a lot of dead standing locust, and so I'm thinking of contacting him and asking him if he's got some locusts, and if so, we may do a little bit of logging out there, a little bit of tree felling, drop some trees, because I'm gonna be doing that anyways. I've got cherry I'm gonna drop soon at a place down the road here. The cherry pile was what I call that place, but I've been there here recently in some of my recent videos. But so I'll be felling some trees this year. I'll be planning to go to the tree service, and I haven't really shown much of that at all yet, just because that place, out of all the places that I've got to go to right now, makes sense the least for me, just because of the size of the wood. It's huge. I mean, it makes that oak behind me there look little. Yeah, if you've seen it, it makes that oak look little, and that's a pretty good big oak right there. But the wood at this tree service down the road here, it makes that look small. It's huge. It's the biggest wood I've seen around here in Kentucky, honestly. Not sure where that guy's getting it from, but he's getting some old trees when he's cutting them down. He's getting some massive trees. I even thought to myself, how in the world do they even haul that stuff? He's got to have some really heavy equipment. And the place is just about 2 minutes down the road from me, and I didn't even know it was there because he's back behind this Family Dollar. And when he kind of told me I could come out there, and I went and looked at it, I showed a little bit of footage of it and posted about it. I thought, man, that's been here this whole time, this close to me, all this wood. And this is huge wood. One thing when you get into those big rounds, I call them behemoths. Like some of these I was calling behemoths here, but these are little compared to that stuff. And when you get into that, the wood just gets tougher. It does. From what I've found anyways, it just gets tougher. It's like the wood itself, the grain and everything in it, I guess it makes itself tougher to hold itself together as it gets older. It's just harder to split. I've split some of the behemoths. Like these right here, I almost wouldn't call behemoths even. They're big, but not quite behemoth. What I would call behemoth. Behemoth is huge. And I'm talking probably 100-plus-year-old trees, maybe quite a bit older than that even. No telling how old that oak right there is. That's a pretty big oak right there. And something here something here recently that I found out. The old woman, she came over there and talked to me, her and her son. This day actually, when I was splitting, I didn't even hear them pull up, but they pulled up on like one of those little side-by-side things. And she as soon as she pulled up, she said, or he was driving and she was riding, and she said, "You're the hardest workingest man I've ever seen." And she said, "I've been watching you." And I looked, because I noticed somebody had been watching me, because I looked over there at their home, and on the back porch I could see that every now and then somebody would be sitting out there, but I couldn't make out whether it was him or her because it was so far away. But I thought that was kind of funny that she said that. She said, "We came over here to check on you and make sure you're okay and that you didn't hit yourself or anything." But they told me that that tree they thought it had got struck by lightning, which makes sense because
thank you for all
if you look at the tree, it didn't get uprooted.
A lot. I wish you all the best.
For an oak like that to break off like that, a solid oak like that, yeah, that's pretty much the only thing that makes sense to me is that it got struck by lightning. So I thought that was interesting when they told me that. Because, yeah, oaks are so strong. Yeah, with it not being uprooted and just broke off, like I said, around a foot above, I believe that's what it was too. So that was interesting to learn that from them. And she was a very friendly woman. As I said, I got wood from her husband before. And then her and her son told me they had a hickory down behind their home too that I could have. when they came over here to me that day, actually, they told me that. They said, yeah, we've got a hickory down if you want that. And she said, can't you, the old woman, she said, can't you get a log splitter? That's hard work. And I told her, I said, I had one before, and it hurt my back, you know, worse than hand splitting, and I could move faster too hand splitting. And she said, well, yeah, I could see how it would hurt your back lifting them rounds. She said, you need somebody to help you lifting those.